Yes, good evening, good evening. If you're just tuning in, yes, you are tuned in to the My Naked Truth show right here on Feminine Touch Radio. So tune in, guys. We're just playing a bit of music before we start the show. Yes, that was Shaka Khan with Ain't Nobody. Welcome, guys. This is the My Naked Truth show, and my name is Unique, and I'm here as usual with Audrey Jackson.
Hello, everybody.
Yeah, so before I hand over to Audrey, I just want to say happy birthday to those who have celebrated their birthday this month and is celebrating their birthday today especially, and for the birthdays to come for the month of November. Don't forget the online chat, guys. You can go, once you click the link, you'll be able to scroll down to the bottom. There's a chat that you can interact with us, say hi, just let us know that you're listening in. If you have any questions for our guests, that's fine. So if you don't know, the topic for today is living with HIV, from stigma to strength. Okay, Audrey. Okay. I hand it over to you.
You can hand it over to me. I need the book.
Oh, yeah.
To read the quote. Okay, so every time we come on the show, we read this quote, and today will be no different. So it's by Marianne Williamson. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented and fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small doesn't serve the world.
Whoop. You hear that? Okay. So before we introduce you to our guests and get into the show. Oh, Audrey, before that, we need to let the people know what the My Naked Truth is all about. Show is all about. So, My Naked Truth, this show captures the stories of us who the spiritual status quo is no longer enough. My Naked Truth makes space for us to ask questions, reflect, resist, and have victory over society's double standards that have deeply impacted us. Through stories and conversations, My Naked Truth is pathway to community reflection and healing for us who are churched, unchurched, or somewhere in between. This show increases thoughts, trials, and triumphs of people figuring out their faith and truth authentically. And as we say, nothing is taboo, shame is unwelcome. And on this show, we speak about the unspoken. My story, your story is our story. Okay, welcome, guys. So before we get into the show and introduce you to our guests, we're just going to play another song. And just stay tuned, guys. So if you need to grab a cup of tea, water, whatever it is, just settle in because we're going to go in today. So prepare. Prepare. Even if you need tissues, get them too as well. Just in case. All right. See you in a bit.
Good times, these are the pigtails and curls. Must put an end to the stress and strife. I think I want to live the sporty life. Good times. These are the good times. Leave your cares behind. These are the good times. Good times. These are the good times. Are you staying alive? These are the good times. A rumor has it that it's getting late. Time marches on, just can't wait. The clock keeps turning, why hesitate? You silly fool, you can't change your fate. Let's cut the rope, little jive and jitterbug. We want the best, we won't settle for less. Don't be a drag, participate. Clams on the half shell and roller skates, roller skates. Good times. These are the good times. Leave your cares behind. These are the good times. Good times. These are the good times. Are we staying alive? These are the good times.
Okay, so everybody in Radio Land, you cannot see our T-shirts, but we now have T-shirts that say "Living With," and if only you knew. So that's the first question that I always ask our guests. So I'm gonna introduce Chido and Jara, but I'm gonna ask them the questions first before they introduce themselves. I'm gonna start with you first, Chido. So if you can tell us, what is your living with? And if only they knew.
I'm living with HIV, and if only they knew that this is not the most important thing about me.
I like that.
My God. Yeah, okay. Jara.
Hi. I am living with my community.
Yes.
If only they knew that my community is not all about everything they knew about me.
Yeah.
Being an African woman
Wow.
in a multicultural society.
Oh.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Both of you, so powerful. Oh, okay. So,
Yeah.
Shida, I'm going to go to you to introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about yourself, or as much as you want to share.
Right, my name is Chido. I'm Zimbabwean. Now living in the UK, of course. I'm a mother of 4 boys. The oldest is 22, the youngest is 7
Wow.
years. And I'll be 40 years old in 10 days' time.
Wow. Ooh.
My
Yeah.
God, you don't look it.
I know.
Thank you.
I know she looks like 12, but 40.
Oh, thank you.
Isn't it? Her little face, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'm studying psychology and counseling, and I'm also a peer mentor for HIV.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Oh, thank
Yeah,
you.
that's brilliant. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, Jara, would you introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Jarafati. I'm Jarafati. So my background in terms of what I do, I am a lead health advisor, and I work for Umbrella Sexual Health on the Queen Elizabeth Hospital. But that's just work. But my passion and my activism work is around community cohesion and education and literacy, especially around HIV. My fight is to make sure that our communities do understand that NHS is free and you can access it, but testing is prevention. So
Yeah.
that's my fight.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Jara,
yeah, go
sorry,
on.
I was going to say, Jara, can you explain what community cohesion is, please?
So community cohesion, it's around getting the community together, togetherness, one voice, one vision, which is very, very important. So if we go back down and look at the African Caribbean communities, so we are first generation? I am first generation, I would say. But if we look back, the history of Afro-Caribbean communities within UK, especially within Birmingham, our great-grandparents, our parents were always together as one. They will have their weekend barbecues, they will have their Sunday church services, and that's what I'm about. And, you know, I'm not Christian, but I do take part in Christian activities. I'm Muslim by background. We've managed to get our own mosque just to bring the community together so that our children that we're having in this country who are born here do understand what community means. Because it doesn't take one person to build a village. It's a whole community.
Yeah.
What does community mean to you?
Oh my God, community means everything to me. My food, my daily thoughts is around community. Without community, I'm nobody. And I think for me, it's all about people
Yeah.
and people that you connect with. Even if you cannot do anything for your community, just a smile. Smiling to somebody, you know, it means a lot to that person. And I think sometimes we do underestimate community in this country. And I think we've moved away from being together because we're getting very isolated.
Yeah.
And that community support is so powerful. Doesn't matter how stressed you are, because this country is stressful. But once you have your community together, you've got everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's the message is community cohesion. We need to be together as one family, one voice, one mission, one vision.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's so true. Okay. Before Audrey, let me just shout out to the people who are listening in. So I want to send a shout out to Audrey, aka Mummy, mother, all the way in Jamaica. Yes, you know, she's our number one supporter. And Cornita, thanks for joining in. I can see that Chris messaged me. I think that's on WhatsApp to say hey. So I think he's saying that he's listening in. So welcome, guys. If you have any questions while we're talking, feel free to drop it in the chat and we'll respond as best as we can. Okay, over to you, Audrey.
Over to me. So I've got a question, and it came to me while you were speaking, Jara. So in terms of like HIV, is there a community for HIV patients, or how? And if there isn't, how would you build one?
So in Birmingham in general, especially within the heterosexual communities and patients, I would say heterosexual means straight. They do have a community, but they're very, very, very small, few and far between. If you look at London, the HIV activism in London is great. There's loads of organizations in London.
Yeah.
But they predominantly manage and support men who have sex with men or gay and bisexual patients. The heterosexual community, very few support. And the reason for this is, and I think that's why today we are here to talk about HIV.
Yeah.
Because if you look at the heterosexual community, quite a lot of people that are affected by HIV are mainly women, black, African Caribbeans, but majority are black Africans. Okay.
Wow.
So because within the black African communities, we've attached so much stigma, both social stigma and self-stigma to HIV. So we don't talk about it. So it's so difficult to get a community that will actually be there to support each other. So when I met Yannick, it was like a dream come true. Because for me, I've worked in this area for so many years, and all I want to see is to make sure that our people do have the support they require. There's a lot of support out there. And HIV, as it is, people think actually that's the end of me, but actually it's not. And I've got two beautiful women here who can actually prove that.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of support, but again, it's the lack of education.
Yeah.
And the fact that we don't talk about it in our communities. We don't talk about it in our lounges. We don't talk about it when we go out for dinner. It's a subject that nobody talks about. So it makes it very difficult. And it creates that social isolation. So I'm hoping that the fantastic work that you guys are doing will actually support us to actually build something up.
Yeah.
And I think Yannick and I have had a
Yeah.
conversation around having a community group
Yeah.
just around supporting HIV patients.
Yeah.
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 But that's fantastic, isn't it? Because I think it shows that if something doesn't exist, we can create it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
There's loads of opportunities to
Yeah.
create. Yeah.
Wow.
China, I'm going to bring you in. Otherwise, I'll be talking to Jara all day because
All right.
she touched on the strength from stigma to strength, and I
Yeah.
love that. I love that. China, you got any thoughts?
I love what Jara's been saying, and I feel like we definitely do need a community that supports people living with HIV,
Yeah.
so that people can stop hiding, because there's this feeling of you're hiding a part of yourself
Mm-hmm.
just because of that stigma,
Yeah.
not only in the community but in yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody carries some sort of stigma,
Yeah.
myself included,
Mhm.
at some points.
Yeah.
So building a community that supports us and each other
Yeah.
is a really wonderful idea, and I'm happy to be part of it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But don't you gonna ask another question?
Yeah, but you can carry on.
No, I was gonna say to you, are you ready for her to share her story?
I'm going to ask my question first.
Okay.
But you don't have to answer it.
Mm-hmm.
Because we know that there are stigmas that other people have.
Yeah.
Did you have any of your own that you had to overcome? Or not even overcome, but deal with? That you had to surrender to, or, you know?
Yes. When I first got diagnosed, I was coming from a background of where, when I was a child, I saw a lot of family members die. Like whole families were wiped out by AIDS.
Oh, my goodness.
So in my head, this was a bad thing, and anybody who got it was going to die. So imagine how I felt when I was diagnosed. Yeah.
So you had to deal with that personal stigma, because you know what I'm trying to say is that sometimes it's easy for us to look at other people, but then when it comes to your doorstep, you then have to challenge your own
Yes.
thinking and stuff like that.
Yeah, you do.
Gosh,
Yeah.
that's
I had to deal with that.
Wow.
And it took a while, a long time to actually deal with it. What happened was I had to live with it, because at the time there was no dealing with it. It was a fact. It seemed like a fact because I did not have any information of people living with it.
Yeah.
I had information of people dying from it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
Look at that. Look at that.
Yeah.
Drop
So
the mic.
Mm.
Yeah.
I had information of people dying from it, but
Yes.
not living.
no.
Oh,
Wow.
the revolution starts. Over to you, Jan.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Wow.
That's powerful.
That's yeah.
That's powerful.
And it's true because and that's where I think the shame and the stigma is coming from, because we're mostly hearing the stories of people who die from it and not the ones who are actually living and having a prosperous life, you know, and living good. So with that said, Chido, I just wanted you to share your story. Just share it however you want. If you want to go really deep, that's fine. Nobody gonna stop you today. But yeah, just share your story of, you know, if I don't know where you want to start, but yeah, over to you.
Okay. I mean, I've already started with my childhood growing up. I saw a lot of family members
Yeah.
die from AIDS. Fast forward a few years to when I was 18, after I just had my first child.
Mm-hmm.
That's when I got tested and diagnosed. That I was 18 years old. So that, from what I calculated, it meant I'd be living with HIV for probably about 3 years from an incident that had happened when I was around 15 years. So when I was told the diagnosis, I was kind of numb for several years actually, because in my head I was dying. Yeah, And even my then husband was like, we're condemned.
Mm.
So for a long time, we just lived under the cloud of we're condemned. I was just waiting to die. Everybody who knew was just like, okay, she's going to die.
Mm.
Yeah. I don't know at what point I turned around. Maybe it was when we started medication around 2010.
Because for a while you weren't taking the medication.
No, because it
You
wasn't
didn't-
a thing.
oh.
It was just being introduced. I think it was still being trialed. So they were mainly focusing on treating children.
Mm.
Yes. So that was my focus for a long time. And then there came a point where they were not going to treat children. Okay, they threatened not to treat children. Of course, they wouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
But, you
But
know,
they sort of threatened.
yeah,
Yeah.
they'll be like, we're not going to treat your children if you're not being
Treated yourself.
So we had to get tested. It was a retest for me. And it was the first time my then husband was being tested because he had initially...
How many years after you first was this happening?
That was about 6 years or so later.
Okay.
I had not fallen ill, like not really. I think I'd had shingles maybe once or twice,
Mm-hmm.
but that was it.
Yeah.
So surprisingly, I was pretty healthy. Of course, I was skinny. I've always
Been, yeah.
I used to be really skinny.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Until very recently.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so then when we went for the test, my then husband had initially refused to be tested because he said, your diagnosis is my diagnosis, which was really not a
Not the case.
very wise thing to say.
Mm.
Yeah, because when we did get tested, it turned out we were discordant. He was negative after about 7 years, well, maybe about 8 years of unprotected intercourse with me.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, yeah, that was...
He was negative
He was
and you were
negative.
positive.
Yes.
And how long were you guys together? 6 years, you said?
And
Or
by that point, we'd been together about 8 years.
8
Yeah,
years?
'cause
Wow.
we were together since I was 15.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. So that started a whole new chapter, in our
Yeah.
lives, I might say. I don't know. I wouldn't want to place blame on anybody, but I think I myself actually developed... That's when I started to develop more stigma against myself. Because I started to think, okay, he should probably find somebody who's negative and start over. Because I'm positive. What value am I going to bring in his life?
Yeah.
But he insisted that he was okay with it. He loved me. He was going to stand by me. But things changed.
Yeah.
Yeah, things changed. And then there came a point where I found out he was seeing somebody.
Else?
Yeah, it caused me anxiety and I was really stressed. So I separated from him. In my head, this was going to be for a short time.
Mm-hmm.
He was going to come after me again like he had done throughout the years.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because, you know, I was married really young. So
Yeah, yeah,
whenever
yeah.
things went dark, I'll just go back to my mom's house. I'll be like, I'm going back home. Then he'd come after me.
Yeah.
We'd work things out. But this time, he didn't come after me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, instead he said he had made the decision that he's just gonna end his life.
End his life?
Yeah.
Wow.
Because he didn't want to live like this. When I look back later, I realized that he had some mental health issues himself.
So
that
he
had
did
never
actually
dealt
do
with.
it?
He did do it.
Oh,
yes.
okay.
So yeah, and I was left with two sons. One was 9 years old, the other one was 6 months old.
Wow.
Yeah, and at the time I was, 26?
Mm.
27?
So you were pretty young.
Yeah, yeah, I was. But I think I felt like I was maybe 90 years old
Yeah.
because of all the things.
Yeah,
I've
that
been
was
through.
happening. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what I wrote and said as well. I feel like I've lived 100 years
yeah.
because
Yeah.
of everything that's happened. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, you mentioned, sorry, Audrey. You know, you mentioned that when you went to the clinic and they did the test and he was negative, you were positive. In that moment, how did you feel? What sort of things are running through your head, if you can remember?
Oh,
How was it?
how did I feel? I felt shock. I don't know what's a stronger word to use for shock.
Because all along you were thinking you got it from him.
Yes. So, shock is an understatement.
No.
We had both been living under the assumption that he had infected me because I was younger. I was
Yeah.
He had been around. He actually is the one who brought forth this idea. He was like, "Oh, I'm sorry. This is because of maybe the way I was living," and I'd accepted that. But there had been an incident that happened to me when I was younger, just the same year that I met him. Yeah, but earlier. I had been abused by a relative, and I'd only told him. I didn't tell my mother, I didn't tell my family, but he knew about it. So when this came out that we were discordant, that's when he was like, so you need to tell everybody about your cousin, because we had discovered that he had actually been HIV positive at the time that the incident happened. I did not want this, because the reason I had not told my family was I didn't want to ruffle any feathers. I wanted to maintain relations, that kind of thing. I just didn't want.
Didn't want to cause any disrupt.
I didn't. No
disruption.
And I didn't want people looking at me with a certain kind of eye. People would start asking, "Was it really abuse? Did you want it?"
All these kinds. Yeah.
And I just didn't want any of that. So it came to a point where I actually left him for a time because of that.
Yeah.
Because he kept saying, he'll get drunk, come home in the middle of the night and say, we should tell everybody, we should report him to the police, he should be arrested. Then I was like, I can't live like this.
Yeah.
I'm leaving. I have to go. Then when I left, he went to my mom's house and he was drunk and he told everybody.
Oh.
Yeah. So that's how my mom and my family found out.
Even the HIV, they didn't know about it.
They knew, although I didn't tell my mom when I was diagnosed. She only found out when she realized what the clinic at the children's hospital was actually for.
Yeah.
In the newspaper.
Oh.
Yeah.
She put 1 and 2 together.
Yes. So there's quite a history of not telling mama things.
I know.
Yeah.
It's funny because I remember dreading telling my mom. And then I told her, and he was like, okay. Because I didn't expect the easy response from her. I don't know, because you think, obviously, parents, they're older, they grow up in a different time.
Yeah.
I thought she would have had a different mindset. But no, it was okay.
Same as my mom. When she asked me about it, she was actually pretty, should I say, accepting about it.
Yeah.
She was like, why didn't you tell me? I would have supported you. But I was like, I didn't know what to say. I've already disappointed you in so many ways already. And I don't want to add one more disappointment.
Yeah.
But she's always been there for me, and she's just an angel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh. You're right, Audrey? Yeah. Should we take a break? You want to take a break, Audrey? I think we need a break. Get some water and then we'll come back, guys. Okay, so if you're just tuning in, you're tuned in to the My Naked Truth Show right here on Feminine Touch Radio. And our topic today is living with HIV, from stigma to strength. Okay, so we're just going to take a quick break. We're going to play another song. Which song should we play? Or try? Let me say. So the song back to life. All right, we're gonna give you a live one, guys. A lively one, I should say. All right, we won't be too long. So here is Soul to Soul with Back to Life.
Back to reality. Back to life. Back to reality. Back to life. Back to reality. Back to the here and now. Yeah. Show me how to decide what you want from me. Tell me maybe I could be there for you. Hurry, woman. Hurry,
Okay, we're back now. We are back, but I just want to throw out a safety net to our audience, because when Chido was speaking, she touched on some sensitive topics. So we just want to remind people that if you need support, you know, you can go to Umbrella. It's online. Umbrella's online.
Sexual health, yeah.
On Umbrella Sexual Health online. Remember that there's victim support online and there's the Samaritans. But just because of the nature of some of the things that came up with what Chido was saying, we really do have to throw out that safety net to make sure that, you know, people are okay.
You get the support that they need.
Yeah, you get the support that you need. Bearing in mind the conversation that we're having.
Yeah.
Okay. Wonderful. Jara?
Yeah, because in the break you were saying something important.
Yeah, so Chido, thank you for sharing. Powerful, powerful, powerful. It's really interesting. During the break, I was saying to the ladies here that it's really funny because I'm looking at my notes. One of the things I've actually wrote is around self-stigma with HIV, where you have individuals with HIV may internalize the negative attitudes and beliefs about the virus, which then lead to low self-esteem, depression, and reluctance to go and seek help. And Chido's just touched on that, where she was kind of like, nope, I'm not going to talk about it, didn't have any support. She already condemned herself before anybody else, because internally she's thinking that's what everybody is thinking.
Yeah.
So, and it does happen all the time. And this is because what we see, Chido grew up from a community and a country where HIV, the treatment is not available. So we touched on Africa. There's no treatments. So what people will tend to say is, there's no point me testing. Because even if I know my diagnosis, I don't have money to pay for treatment. Because we know that 95% of medical care in African countries are private.
Yeah.
So you've got, what, 5% that the government is going to give you? And quite a lot of people do struggle. So that actually does heighten that stigma and then that isolation. You don't talk to anybody. But we're lucky we're in a country where healthcare is free. And I think Chido's story touched on quite a lot of important elements here. People always, without their understanding and knowledge, thinks that when somebody's been diagnosed with a sexually transmitted infection, especially HIV, oh, you must be promiscuous. But actually, that is not the case. Okay. Chido touched on abuse.
Yeah.
Which we know in Africa today, there's loads of women who come into this country who've gone through sexual violence. Because they've come from war-torn countries, and sex and violence is always used against women.
Yeah.
We are always the ones that feel the brunt of it. And loads of women got infected with HIV because of that. So again, it's about educating our communities and having these powerful conversations so that our children that are growing up do have that knowledge and understanding. Because quite a lot of women, when you talk to them about their HIV journey, the anger is around how they became HIV positive.
Yeah.
And because that stigma, sexual abuse in itself has a massive stigma.
Yeah.
And then you've got HIV. And then you are in this community where nobody talks about sex.
No. The main thing that's why we're alive. Anyway, why we brought us here.
Exactly. It is part of our life.
Yeah.
You know, it is. We have to have sex.
Yeah.
It is what it is. But we need to talk about it.
Yeah.
And black people don't talk about sex. We need
No.
to discuss it with our children.
Yeah.
Because I tell you what, ladies, when you educate your child at home and talk about sex, talk about sexually transmitted infections, talk about access, talk about the importance of testing,
Yeah.
you are preventing
Yeah.
infection acquisition,
Yeah.
which is so powerful. So Chido, thank you for that,
Yeah.
for sharing your story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Powerful. You want me to say something, Audrey? Are you gonna?
No, I want to pick up on the prevention,
Yeah.
because you actually gave a very good description of what prevention looks like.
Yeah.
Can you just repeat that again?
So testing is prevention. And people will say sometimes when I challenge patients in clinic, they will say to me, but what do you mean? Well, you're here, you're testing. If you're testing, you're preventing yourself from, living with HIV, because you get tested. If you're negative, you know you're negative, which is very important. And you are going away. If you're going to have condom-like sex, at least we'll give you some advice around that. If you're going into a new relationship, you know that actually I've tested, I'm negative. We'll have a conversation around get your partner tested as well. It's so important that you're testing regularly. Because say, for example, you end up picking up an infection, say you pick up HIV. You know that actually 2 months ago I was negative. Right? Then you know you've picked it up in between. And also, why is this important? You can then sit down and think, actually, who did I have sex with? Because somebody else in between there is also impacted here. And if we diagnose you with HIV, treatment is prevention. Because now the medications are so good. Yes, no medication is that you're going to have without side effects. And these ladies will tell us about that later. Everything you take has side effects. Even simple paracetamol does have side effect. But the important thing is now people are living with HIV for years and years and years. We are looking after patients who are in their, 80s? Yeah. We never used to have that. And that is because it's medication. So testing is prevention, because your early diagnosis means that you will be on medication early. You can live for a long, long time. But also, in the midst of all this, we've got PrEP. Not forgetting PrEP. Pre-exposure prophylaxis. This is anti-HIV medication that you can take. If you want to take it every day, you can take it every day. If you decide that you want to have condomless sex. Guys, tell me what it does. It stops the HIV virus replicating in your body. So it's just like when women use contraception, so that they can be pregnant. And I know I've had lots of conversation with people saying to me, well, if you're telling people to take PrEP to prevent them from getting infection, like getting HIV, are you not promoting promiscuity? I'm thinking, well, you're not. I said, well, I take vitamin D every day. I'll buy it across the counter. I take vitamin C every day. Why am I doing that? Because I want to make sure I have good bone health. I also want to make sure that I don't catch colds from vitamin C. So it's prevention. And these drugs are well known. We've used them for years and years and years now. But it's out there. Unfortunately, in this country, heterosexual communities don't hear about PrEP.
No.
Because, that's right, because when it first came out, it was all about gay, bisexual, and men who have sex with men. But actually, heterosexuals can have it. And you don't have to have it every day. You can have it when you pre-plan. Some people will pre-plan to have sex and say, okay, you know what, I'm going for a night out, I'm just going to let my hair down. Things happen, you don't know what's going to happen. You can take your tablets, and then 2 tablets you tend to double dose. So there's loads of information out there online. Loads of prevention online, but again, it's knowledge. Knowledge is power, and our communities do miss this information. They don't have it. So I guess my role, I think, if I don't do anything, is to educate people and bring out the information to the community.
Wow. I just want to send a quick shout out to Queen Bee. Thanks for joining in. Somebody says thanks for the openness. I'm not sure who that is, but thanks for listening, guys. I can't see any more messages at the moment. I think Paul is listening in. Hi, Paul. Okay, so I'm just checking to see who, if I haven't called your name, it's just because I've missed the message. But thanks for joining in, guys. Remember, if you have any questions, or you just want to leave a comment to just know that to let us know that you're listening in, you can go to the chat online, and it's at the bottom. And just let us know that you're listening in. Any questions that you have, as Audrey said before, because of the topic that we'll be talking about today, if anyone is what's the word I should use, if anyone is going to be affected by these conversations that we're having, you know, there is help online. There's Umbrella,
Samaritans,
the Samaritans,
and victim support.
and victim support online. Okay. And, you know, for those who know me personally, you can drop me a message and I can send the details as well. All right. Over to you, Audrey.
Oh gosh, I love the prevention.
Yeah.
I love that, and I like the aspect of talking.
Yeah.
Is prevention.
It is.
Do you know what I mean? It's quite powerful.
It is.
Quite powerful. I actually don't know what to say.
All right. Big up to Michelle. You're listening in. Thanks for joining in. Cornita say, this is good discussion. Somebody, Nicole. Hi, Nicole. Very informative and important, powerful conversations. Thanks for listening in, guys. Thanks for listening in. Okay. So, what I want is, cause I know Jara has loads of information and, yeah, I think I'll share my story as well.
Yeah.
Just to, cause, you know, of the topic that we're having today. So for me, 8 years ago, I'm trying to cut it down, but
No, just
8 years ago, I was diagnosed. Yeah. I got up one morning to go to work and I got a phone call to say, come into the clinic. But prior before that phone call, I'd done a HIV test, which it wasn't something that was planned. You know, I went into the clinic because I was just, you know, I was engaged to get married. And we were talking about having kids and stuff like that. And for years, I've always used contraceptive for my menstrual cycle. So I had the implant in, decided to take it out because I was thinking to take it out from now. So whatever, you know, cleanse my body need to cleanse, you know, can be done. And I was asked if I wanted to take a HIV test. Now, bearing in mind, guys, I had no symptoms of anything. I was just feeling normal, going to the doctor, and he asked me the question. And I went, yeah, sure. Because, you know, I'm thinking, okay, I don't think so. And I did the test, and then 2 weeks they phoned to say, you know, you need to come into the clinic. So I was just thinking, oh, I wonder if it's just probably a chlamydia or whatever. Nothing near HIV, I was thinking, because, you know, as a matter of fact, it's like it went quiet. So it wasn't anything much you were hearing about, you know, HIV. So when I went in and the nurse said to me, oh, unfortunately, blah, 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 you are HIV positive. And you know where they're saying, I always said this because I like to say it because the experience that I experienced it was so true. It's so real. When she said that, I didn't hear anything else. You know, when you watch the movie and you get the bad news and everything just moves slowly and everything gone quiet, that was the situation for me. Yeah. And I think the only thing else I heard when she said something and I kind of chipped out of that zone was when she said, do you want to tell your partner? I was like, huh? Huh? How do you do that? And I remember saying to her, no. And she said, okay, do you want me to? I says, yeah. That's not going to come from me. So anyway, she made the phone call right there in front of me. And surprisingly, you know, they didn't take it anyway. And yeah, that's my story of finding out about HIV. But I think from then, I tell you, even when she was saying to me, you know, this is not the end of your life, I felt dead already when she said it. Yeah, I was like, really? You know, sometimes in that place and you want to say, yeah, you take the HIV and then you tell me this is not the end of your life. Yeah. And yeah, she was just, you know, I'll tell you the support that you get from the clinic. I don't know about no other clinic, but the Warsaw Sexual Health Clinic. Because I've never, you know, had interactions with any other clinic. Yeah. And they are just 100. Would you say, Cheetah, because you go to that clinic as well? They're really amazing. And, you know, she was giving me all of this information and saying, you know, just reassuring me that everything was okay and, you know, with the medication. I tell you, for the first 2 years for me, it was horrible going into the clinic. And that's all because I was having to get the injection. And I remember having to do hepatitis B and I think C medication as well. And that was just horrible for me because I think when you take it, it goes in and it burns. So it's like, whoa, you know, it's this. I remember one day when they did that, tears came to my eyes. And I was thinking, oh my God, but this is what, because you have to remember, when I heard about it, I had stigma as well. I had the negative, you know, outlook on it. So it's like, for the first 2 years, I'm having to deal with my own stigma and everything. So I would cry sometimes. I would be like, oh my God, what is this? And yeah, I think it was, I could count on my hand, the people that I told, at first. And yeah, but and you know, and the mental part of it. So I remember there's people, you know, that I share it with, or if I go to the doctors, that's the one that got me. I went to the doctors, to the nurse, and she was going to do some blood tests, and I said to her, do you know that I'm HIV positive? And this was her, oh my God, you look so good. And I'm like, yeah, because I'm on medication. Yeah. But for me, that was shocking because I was like, you don't know about this? You know, why are you looking so surprised that you don't know anything? So she was like, oh, you look good. I says, yeah, because I'm on my medication. But mentally,
yeah,
I am effed.
Yeah.
You know, like, it's just, it's, yeah. So, so yeah, I think, yeah, that's my story. Unless, do you have any question for me? But yeah, that's it so far. And I'm still on the journey, still living with HIV. And yeah.
I don't have a question for you, Annie.
What do you have for me?
I don't have anything for you.
Oh.
I've got a question for Charlie.
Oh, whatever.
But so I'm going to ask the question to you first, Jara, but it's a question for both of you.
Yeah.
And I hope you'll be able to answer it in some way.
I'll try.
So what is your greatest challenge as... So do you give treatment?
No, so I diagnose.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what is your greatest challenge as someone who diagnoses HIV? And then Chido, what is your greatest challenge as a patient, as a HIV patient? So think about that if you can think of something. Okay.
I think my greatest challenge is one, when you give the diagnosis to anybody, for them to believe you that they will be okay.
Yeah, wow.
That part.
That's the greatest challenge, because as a clinician, I always will say when I first diagnose, and when I train staff, I do a lot of training, and I will say to them, don't you ever go in the room and say to the patient, unfortunately. Don't use any negative word. Always go in straight on, your results for HIV are positive. Straight on. But what I want you to do at that point in time, and what I do at that point in time, is the first thing I say to the patient once I give you that is to say, if you don't remember anything today, and I'm not going to bore you with loads of information because I know you're not listening.
Yeah.
Just remember one thing I want you to take away with you today, that HIV is not going to kill you.
Yeah.
So just remember that.
Yeah.
Don't remember anything else I'm telling you today.
Yeah.
I'm going to go through all medical whatever, but don't think about it, because I know it's going in there, it's coming the other way.
Yeah.
Because that shocked quite a lot of people. Are very shocked. So just think about it that way. Just say, okay, I know I'm not going to die of HIV, right? And then I allow them to actually think, because it's heavy, especially for our communities. And I find that when I've got to give HIV results to a black woman or a black man or somebody from other ethnic minorities,
Wow.
And I tell you why I prep. Because every individual is different.
Yeah.
All our cultures are different. And usually what I would tend to do, say for example, if I've got somebody who from Bangladesh is positive, I tend to go online and I'll look around what HIV looks like in Bangladesh.
Yeah.
And I do that because I want to make sure when I'm speaking to that patient, the patient can hear me, that I am talking something around what's happening to their country, because it is important.
Yeah.
Because we need to make sure we are providing individualized care, Because most of the information around HIV, they're generic, yes.
Yeah.
The medications are generic, it's for everybody. But there are subtle things that you can do for patients that, trust me, when you give them their diagnosis, they will never forget you as a clinician.
Yeah.
It becomes very, very personal. And that's important. And that can actually help that patient through their journey. Which is so important, and it's really powerful. You touched on a conversation here about healthcare personnel who don't actually understand HIV, which is true. So we work in that field. We are specialized to work with patients. Whether we're giving you HIV diagnosis or you just come in for your basic contraception, we will talk to you about prevention. We will give you education. And that's what it is. So, but again, it's such a specialist area. But then as a healthcare professional, I think there's no excuse for you not to know that HIV now is a condition that people live with. For you to actually say to a patient, oh, actually, you look very well. You can't justify that. It's unjustifiable. Because we need to educate ourselves regardless of which field of medicine we work in. Because although I'm a healthcare professional who works in sexual health, I am going to come across patients who I will see with diabetes. I will come across a patient with asthma. I will come because I give you medication. I need to know some of these conditions. I'm not the expert, but at least I can have some knowledge, which is very, very important. And these little things go a long way. And you touched about the clinic in Warsaw. Quite a lot of the HIV clinics, that's how we roll. You know, because it's personal care. And, you know, the services, you have your social workers, and then you have your therapist, you've got your psychologist, you've got your consultants. You're more looked after than anybody else.
That's true.
And it's that ease of access. And the reason for that is around holistic care. We're not only looking after your medical needs. You've got other social needs, which quite a lot of patients that live with HIV is the social aspect of HIV. That's actually the issue. So I'll always say, I remember some of the diagnoses I gave will never, ever, you know, I'll never forget them. And I remember saying to this lady, first time in the country, came from a war-torn country, again, was an incident of rape, became HIV positive. I remember when I gave the diagnosis, and the first thing she said to me, I'm at home with my mother-in-law. I can't breastfeed. What does this mean for me? And these are real stuff that we have to discuss with our patients. Because we do know that if you come from a certain cultures, as a mother, they expect you to breastfeed. So how do you actually navigate that? So it's not the issue around the medication. That's absolutely fine. But this is where education comes into it. About educating our parents, educating our children, our peers. And this conversation we're having, we should be having this all the time for people to understand that. With medication, you equals you. Because now patients can have medication, they suppress the virus. As long as you've suppressed for up to about 6 months, your viral load is suppressed. Very unlikely for you to pass that infection on to anybody. You don't even have to use condoms.
Jara, explain the U equals U.
So U means undetectable equals to untransmissible. So if your HIV virus is undetectable, you cannot transmit that virus to somebody that you're having sex with. So U equals U is just so powerful. For especially patients that we do diagnose newly. And yet again, medication. But she just touched on it. She didn't go for medication. Because what happens is when you get diagnosed, quite a lot in our communities, we hide. So already we've got that internalized stigma. You're hiding. So you're hiding, the infection is actually replicating. It's eating up at you. Right? Whereas if you just get diagnosed and you go into clinic, get your medication, start to get treatment, you know, you're a new person. So it's so important that we work away from the stigma of HIV for us all to understand that HIV is manageable. We don't have a cure yet. And let's watch the space. There's lots of research going on, but we've come a long way.
I've listened to what you've said, and what I'm picking up is that the diagnosis is a specialism in itself.
Yeah.
In and of itself. Like the diagnosis needs its own, what would you call it? It's just as, if not more, important than treatment.
That's right.
The way that you spoke about it, the way that you explained it,
Yes.
it's like it is a... Because what you're saying is that what you're doing is a specialist area.
It is a
But
specialist
it's like
area.
the diagnosis is a specialism in the
In
specialist.
itself.
Oh, my.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. And
Oh, my
you know,
goodness.
I've met patients who they will never forget the day they were diagnosed.
My God.
Yeah.
And it's so important for that person to come away and think, actually, it's not that bad.
Yeah.
But that's all down to, it's just like when we give, what's the word? When you give somebody a bad news, it's about how you deliver that message,
Yeah.
which is so important. And I think sometimes, you know, we just, oh, actually, I'm just going to give somebody something. No, but you need, it is an act of itself. It is an art.
I love
Yeah.
your care. I love
Yeah.
what, you know, how you're just very
Yeah.
caring. I like that. I think we should play a song and then we're going to come to She's going to knock me off my chair. I can feel it already.
Oh, who's gonna knock you off?
I
the
know.
Ah.
She's going to knock me off my chair already.
Yeah.
I feel it already. But yeah,
Yeah.
let's play a song and then we'll come back. Thank you. That's powerful.
Okay. All right. So you play a song. So I'm going to play Diana Ross, Upside Down.
Yeah.
I said upside down, you're turning me. You're giving love instinctively. Round and round, you're turning me. Upside down, boy, you turn me inside out and round. Upside down, boy, you turn me inside out and round. Instinctively, you give to me the love that I need. I cherish the moments with you. Respectfully, I say to thee, I'm aware that you're cheating when no one makes me feel like you do. Upside down, boy, you turn me inside out and round. Upside down, boy, you turn me inside out and round. I know you got charm and appeal. You always play the field. I'm crazy to think you're all mine. As long as the sun continues to shine, there's a place in my heart for you. That's the bottom line. Upside down, boy, you turn me inside out and round. Upside down, boy, you turn me inside out and round. Instinctively, you give to me the love that I need. I cherish the moments with you. Respectfully, I say to thee, I'm aware that you're cheating, but no one makes me feel like you do. Upside down, boy, you turn me inside and round, upside down. Boy, you turn me inside out and round, upside down. Boy, you turn me inside and round, upside down. Boy, you turn me inside and round, upside down. You turn me, you're giving love instinctively. Round and round, you're turning me. I say to thee respectfully. Upside down, you're turning me. You're giving love instinctively. Round and round, you're turning me. I say to thee respectfully. I said upside
Okay, welcome back, everybody. So I'm going to go over to Chido to ask the question is, what was your greatest challenge as a patient being treated for HIV?
I would say my greatest challenge. That's a good question. Physically, I would say maybe it's having the bloods drawn every 6 months. You know, they do quite a few vials. You know, and they've got a whole tray full of vials, and you see your blood just going. You're like, what on earth are they testing for? Why do I have to have all these tests done? Is it just because of this? And you don't really know what half of them are.
Yeah.
And you don't even get told until something's wrong. Like, you're told, okay, your cholesterol's too high, you need to be on... I'm taking statins now, and I have to take them, like, for the rest of my life. Which, when they explain to me, is a good thing, because it prevents heart disease and strokes and things like that. But, yeah, physically, that's... It's nothing much. It might not seem like much to somebody, but just imagine getting your blood taken and you just look at your blood being taken away every few
that's
months.
a challenge.
Yeah. And then mentally, so there's an aspect that never really occurred to me all these years. Like, it's been, 22 years that I never even thought of since I started medication. But then my therapist one day... we were just talking about it, and then she was like, so how does it feel to know that the only thing standing between you and death is your medication?
Told you she was going to blow me up with chair.
Yeah, so that was my moment where I had the unique thing where everything just went
quiet.
No, say that again. The only thing tell me again.
The only thing standing between you and death. She didn't say death, but that's what I heard.
Yeah.
The only thing standing between you and death is that pill.
My God.
Of course, I had a nice little answer. I probably said something cute and clever.
Yeah.
But in my head, I was like, oh gosh, that thing really is what's standing between my life and my death. And from then on, I started thinking, oh gosh, yeah, if I do stop taking these pills, I will die, and it's probably going to be a horrible death, because I've seen people who've defaulted, and I've seen them going downhill. It is not a good sign.
No.
Yeah.
No.
And that got me thinking, this is probably why a lot of people don't want to go for therapy.
Yeah.
Because the way it's done sometimes just takes you to places you've never been and you probably didn't even want to go there. I mean, it's not useful thinking that, except for the purpose of maybe... helping somebody who's thinking of stopping taking their meds.
Yeah.
That's when it's useful. But I've never stopped. Ever since the first day I've taken my meds, I've always been good with them. I've never stopped. It's become second nature to me.
Yeah.
But imagine somebody just highlighting that to you, and you're like, oh my goodness. Yeah, but it doesn't matter. I mean, I'm grateful for this medication. It's not the only thing standing between me and life.
No.
Or me and death. It's not.
Come on.
Yeah, definitely not. Yeah.
And like I said, I'm going to be 40 in a few days. There was a time when I didn't think I would live to be 20 or 25.
Wow.
So I'm really celebrating this birthday.
Yeah.
Because, I'm alive and I'm going to grow old.
Yeah,
absolutely.
My great grandkids, yeah.
It's a very good point that he's just picked up on. This medication, that is what's keeping you going. And it just brings me back to a point around testing. If you don't test, you don't know.
Yep.
And if you don't know, you'll be living with this condition and you don't know, you get ill. If you're lucky, you're in countries like this, yes, there's good medication, they can actually, but some people are not that lucky. So that's why testing, I cannot reiterate testing enough. So if we let's look at the statistics. So let's say in the West Midlands, right, the percentage of people living with undiagnosed, which means people who are living with HIV and they are not aware, approximately is about 5%. In the West Midlands.
That's a big number.
Yeah. But this, if you look at it from a national average in the UK, this means you're talking about 1 in 16 people living with HIV in both the West Midlands and the UK as a whole do not know their status because they don't test.
Wow.
So they're actually living with the virus, but they don't know.
So testing cannot be overemphasized. In a way, I always say to people, testing saves life. Because if you get tested, you get diagnosed, you get put straight onto medication.
Yeah. That's
So
the first,
testing
yeah.
is so important. And there's so many ways you can test nowadays. You know, I don't know about
You can do it online.
That's right.
Yeah.
You can go onto the Umbrella website,
Yeah,
which is
you
the
can
Umbrella,
order your kits.
umbrellasexualhealth.co.uk.
And it comes
you can
quick because I
order-
tried
Yes.
it. I
Yeah.
ordered myself one, but I didn't realize when they order it, they try to track it down. Like,
If you don't return it, you get to return it. Absolutely. You know,
So, yeah.
you can order a kit online and it's a finger prick test. You can do the test and send it back to the clinic, and that test kit will test you for gonorrhea, chlamydia, HIV, and syphilis.
yeah.
And you can do this in the comfort of your own home. You can go and pick up from any of the Birmingham pharmacies. We have over 114 pharmacies that are part of the Umbrella network.
Yeah, wow.
Where you can go in and pick a kit. You go online, order your kit, you go and pick it up, you do your test, you put it in the post. All for free.
Yeah.
You can go into any of the Umbrella clinics as well. We have about, 6-7 clinics in Birmingham and Solihull. And you can book appointments online. You can walk in. So there are services available. So I guess my message today is test. It is prevention.
Yeah. Yeah, testing. Cornita is asking, are these conversations in schools? They should be.
There should be. We refer to, so all schools are supposed to be doing something called, I think, RSH, reproductive health. So Umbrella as a service, so we do have our outreach workers who will go, it's like train the trainers. So they will go in and they have a package of training that they will train the teachers. So the teachers will then filter that information to young people. But also because we work with youth workers, the Birmingham City Council Youth Service, we do have staff that we pay for, who would go out to colleges, universities, and they do provide these services as well. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's loads of services out there. Yeah. But you're absolutely right. Schools are very important.
Yeah.
Because I am seeing children coming into our services who don't know A from B. You know? And it's a fact.
Yeah.
When you get to a certain age, from the age of 13, 14, 15, kids are having sex.
Yeah.
But education is important. The only way we can help them and support them is by providing them the right education. Schools are important, but we, us as family members and parents, friends, we should be educating our own children as well.
Yeah.
We cannot just leave it to the teachers. Education has to come from the home. Because I know most of the time, I've got a 16-year-old boy who, even when I pick him up from basketball and the kids are in the car, all I talk about is condoms.
Yeah.
All I talk about is condoms and testing and chlamydia. And I would say to him, you better make sure that you're using condoms. You better make sure you get tested.
Yeah.
So the friends, it's not like a conversation. I've got big daughters. I'm kind of like the next person their friends have got on the phone if they've got questions around contraception, around testing. And I'm not afraid to talk about it.
No.
And I think that's the way we should move, really. We should be talking about it all the time and take away the taboo.
We should be talking about it more than how we're doing
That's
it.
right. Yeah. That's right. Take away the taboo, you take away the stigma.
Yes.
And that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Because as much as we try to deny it, come on, our teenagers are having sex.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah, they are. They are. So let me just check to see. For those who've just joined in, yes, you are listening to the My Naked Truth Show right here on Feminine Touch Radio. And the topic today, we're discussing Let's Talk living with HIV from stigma to strength. Yeah, and we've got Chido, Victoria, and Jara Fati today. And Chido actually shared her story with us, which is very, guys, if you miss it, you're going to have to listen to the recording to get the story. And Jara is the lead sexual health advisor at Umbrella. So we're getting information and we're getting the facts. So, yeah, we're enjoying it. And then we've got OG Jackson, the co-host, who is here, asking the questions and probing the conversation. Yeah. So she's literally pushed me in the corner, guys. So yeah, just to let you know. Don't think she's all looking innocent right now. You want to see the look she's giving me? Yeah.
Oh my God. Anyway, I'm coming back to you, Chado. So I listened to what you said, and I picked up that one of the challenges can be what people will say. And when I say people, that can be the medical staff, family members, friends. So that's one of the, would you say that's one of the challenges that you face in terms of what they say and how you interpret it, or how you, you know, like...
Yeah, it is actually. And not just people who know you, but people who you don't know. I'm a kind of an overthinker.
Yeah.
I tend to think of things, what are they going to be like before they happen. So
You think ahead.
yeah,
Yeah, that's
I tend to think of things like, okay, what if I met somebody and we were probably going to date? At what point am I supposed to tell them? How are they going to take it? Are they just going to run away? Or are they going to ignore me? Or what about their status? I mean, I'm telling them about my status, but what about them?
Yeah.
Here I am being open to them, but
Are they
they
gonna
could
be
be
open?
positive as
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
And they're not going to tell me. Or they could be positive and not know it, which would make them more dangerous
Yeah.
to society, not just to me.
Yeah.
Then there's other things like, for me, HIV is not the scariest thing you could catch from unprotected sex.
No.
It is not.
No.
All these things, Jara was talking about things like chlamydia, gonorrhea. Those guys, those are the things you should be more scared
Yeah.
of than HIV.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. Thinking about what other people are going to think is actually a major thing. Even my own children. I have young kids. My youngest is 7. Like Jara said, they're being taught about reproductive health in school. Things I never learned when I was in school.
Yeah.
So I've never talked to them about this, but I
Yeah.
know they're aware of HIV. I have been doing like conscientizing them, just touching here and there on HIV, so that one day when they do find out about my status, it won't be such a shock for them. But I also wonder, what are they going to think?
Yeah.
How are they going to feel about
Yeah.
it? Yeah.
Wow. It does have you thinking.
Yeah. And I feel like people who are HIV negative somehow don't really understand what
Yeah.
it's like to have HIV, and there's a kind of fear, even though I know I'm not going to transmit it to anybody because I'm undetectable.
Yeah.
There is no danger of anybody getting HIV from me.
Yeah,
If they
yeah.
get it, it's not from me.
No.
Yeah.
Innit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But somebody who's negative wouldn't understand that. I mean, I was even having a conversation with my sister today. I was like, if your husband told you that all these years you've been living together, he's been HIV positive, but he hasn't transmitted to you, would you accept that? And she was like, I'll probably leave him right there and then, even though he has not infected me. But just the fact that I just...
So that's the stigma.
That's
That's
the
based
stigma.
on stigma.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
That's the stigma we talk about
Yeah.
all the time. And this is why I say to people, it's not the HIV virus that kills you.
No.
It's the stigma that kills us.
Yeah.
Because of this stigma, we don't test. Because we're like, if I don't test, I don't have to know. If I don't have to know, I don't have to tell anybody.
Yeah.
Simple.
Simple.
But actually, we are killing ourselves. So
Yeah.
if you think about it, if you're part of that 1 in 16
Yeah.
who are living with this virus without knowing,
Yeah.
that's a lot of people
Yeah.
Yeah.
who are living with the virus without knowing they're living with HIV.
Yeah.
When actually, in reality, if you get tested, you get in treatment, you get it into service. And it's free. You don't have to think about it. When people say, oh, I can't get to my GP, which is true.
Yeah.
Nowadays, getting to GPs is like looking for...
I don't even go to my GP nowadays. I
That's
just
right.
go everything through the clinic.
Yeah, exactly. So here you are, you're going into a clinic. They will provide everything for you. You
Yeah.
have your test and you have your treatment. That's all fine. The medical aspect of HIV is absolutely great in this country. It's just that socially we need to move.
Yeah.
And I think we still have a lot of work to do. But it can be done.
I feel like a priority patient
Yeah.
because as soon as I say, oh, I think there's a pimple in my back, they want to book me into the hospital to get scanned. And it's like quickly because, I think it's awesome. You just feel like VIP You know, because I think normally I hear people say, oh, they have to wait how much months to get booked into the hospital. That's not the case for if you're HIV positive. You know, your medical condition is just on point. When we got asked that question when we did the peer mentoring to say, how soon should you tell someone when you meet them? And I just think, just get it out the way.
Yeah.
Just get it out the way before you even reach a point where I even like you enough to feel a way if you reject me. You understand? So I just always say, just tell it straight away, because at the end of the day, you're trying to promote it to say it's nothing that I'm ashamed of. This is a part of my life, but I'm just letting you know so you have a choice from now if you want to continue to get to know me or you want to run like a fugitive to save the life you live. But, I think as soon as possible, because if you wait with somebody, then you're investing so much time into the relationship, and then for you to say it one day and then they just disappear.
Yeah.
So, best to disappear from early, because you get over it much quicker than when you get entwined with them. Yeah.
You're absolutely right, Unique. And I think there is no right way or wrong way to do this. It's very personal to every individual person, isn't it? It's around. So I do have those questions. So somebody will say to me, so what do I do now if I meet somebody? And I've had conversation with patients who come in and say, oh, I've just met somebody, I don't know where to start, and I don't really want to come out and say, I said, well, if you're going out for a drink, just have general conversation.
Yeah.
Just have a general vibe with the person, talk about health, and then talk about HIV, and see what their perception is around HIV. Because once you start having a conversation with somebody around HIV, and then the person becoming very negative around it, that actually this person is not going to handle me telling them that I'm HIV positive, because rejection is the most painful thing anybody can go through. And I've seen patients who've gone through that. And yet again, it's around that individual who's not educated. Because if somebody's telling you, I've been undetectable for years, I've been on my medication. And I remember having a conversation with people, and I'll say to them, look, somebody that you just met online, you don't know what their HIV status is, but you will have sex with them with no issues at all. Right? Condomless. How about somebody who's telling you from the get-go, I am HIV positive, I am on treatment, I've been on treatment for a long time, I am suppressed for years.
Can't pass it on, You get more scared. The person who knows their status.
That's right.
It's
That's
safer,
right.
yeah.
You could be having sex with that 1 in 16 people.
It's true.
It's true.
Yeah.
So again, it's education, and we just need to keep educating because we are educators.
Yeah.
And I'm so blessed to meet Unique and now Chido, because you are telling your stories and people are hearing this, and that's what we need in our communities to say. Look,
because I'm always saying to myself, I'm sure I'm not the only Black Caribbean Christian woman who has HIV. Okay, so it's just me alone having sex. All right. Okay. But, nobody's talking, and it just shows the heaviness of it in our community.
That's right.
And, I just thank God that I'm in a place where I can share without shame. I think part of it has to do with my book. Because since I've put the book out there, at first when I was doing the book, and even though I was saying, I'm going to put the story out there, I started talking about it. I still have the little niggling, especially when the book was near to publish. I was thinking, oh my God, what am I doing? Remember Audrey was saying, And then once it went out there, it was like, when you're in pain for all your life, and then one day you wake up and there's no more pain.
Yes.
That's how I felt. And it's just been like, well, I don't care. It's out there. I just know if somebody get negative about it or have anything stupid to say, I just know that it's lack of knowledge.
Yes.
Because the more you know about HIV, the more information you get, is the more you think, well, what's the what's the fear behind it? Because then, it's something that can happen to anybody, any one of us, as long as you don't even have to, because you don't just catch it through sex, but that's one of the main ways
right.
that we get it. And we all having sex, so whichever way you're doing it, we're all having sex. So it's something that can affect all of us. So it's just for us to get the education and everything. With that said, Cornita, okay. She says, I love how you deal with it, Yannick. You have grown so much since you have been opened. And then she was saying, wow, that's so true. So I'm guessing based on what we were talking about. But yeah.
I have a question for you, Yannick.
Okay, you ready for me?
Yeah, it's like two questions.
She hasn't been paying me any mind, guys. And she just, literally, I think that's the first time she called my name since the show started.
Yannick, so my question is... Oh, God, I nearly forgot. What was my question?
You did a good lie.
What made you decide to share your story?
That's a good question. What made me decide to share my story? First of all, guys, I have this publisher and friend named Marcia M. Spence, who she's been digging into me for years to say, and tell a story, it'd be so powerful. And I'm trying to remember when I decided that, I should do this. I think I just got fed up. I just reached a stage where I got fed up because it's like, I can't hear anybody talking about this thing. And it happens through the main thing that we do. And then I think it was me going into the clinic, and I noticed that black women I'm seeing is African black women. So what happened to the Caribbean? And I know I'm from the Caribbean and we do not have safe sex. Let's just say it. It's not, you understand me?
Yeah.
Our men, it's not something that you do. As a woman, you probably have to be like, no. You meet far and few in between men who would be like, and then sometimes, even if they start off with the condom, they themselves just decide when to stop, using a condom. So I'm like, so why am I not seeing anybody like me or sounding like me, talking about it? And I'm like, no. And I think that's what hit me the most. And I decided that, I need to talk about this. As a woman of faith, obviously I prayed about it, and the more I was talking to God about it, the more He was just showing, things that I should be doing. We did Esther. Remember when we did Esther? Even in Esther, it's this program that we do at church. And even while doing Esther as well, some little pointers was coming out. And I remember the first day we started, this was confirmation that what I'm doing is right. The first day we started Esther, and the first question was, who are you? Hey. And when they says, you are who God, you are who God sees. So I am who I am based on what God's seeing. And then when you go into scripture, and my scripture was, is it 2 Peter 9:10? And it was saying, you're a chosen generation. And I'm like, what? Because God have a way to just keep talking to you. And I was like, okay, all right. Because, sometimes I have certain conversation with God and it says, really? I would just go, really, Lord? And then what finally got me to say, you know what, this is okay. I'm really gonna really push this is it was like a few weeks before I finished writing the book, and I was watching this film on Netflix called Luther. I don't know if you've watched it, Audrey. Have you watched it, Audrey?
I think I've seen
Luther.
the series.
And the show was talking about shame. So basically in this film, there's this person who, people that they know, he knows out the secrets in their life and, or in their lives, I should say. So for example, I would know you cheat and I know about your HIV and you don't want to talk about, you don't want nobody to know, none of your family. So I use that against you to do what I want. And I was like, that's shame. And that's what the devil does. If you're in a place of shame, what the devil do is shut you down. But once you open your mouth to talk, then there's nothing, that, and I was like, you know what? All right, enough, Lord. You don't have to keep saying this. I'm just gonna, cause it's like from one point to the next, it was just coming out, and especially that scripture that says, you're a chosen generation. I was like, you know what? Yeah, and that's what got me to
speak.
to start speaking.
Okay, so what was your stigma to strength?
Stigma to strength.
Mm-hmm.
So what was my stigma? Well, as we grow up and think sex is dirty, and the first thing I was thinking, people gonna think that, oh yeah, I'm promiscuous.
Hang
Yeah.
on, just so you understand what I'm asking.
Oh,
So because this show is called Let's Talk HIV.
Yeah.
from stigma
From stigma to
to
strength.
strength.
So I'm just asking. It's almost like, how did you turn?
Oh, okay.
Like, choose one stigma or a stigma, and how did you turn that to a strength? That's what I'm asking.
Through prayer and writing.
Oh.
Yeah. Through prayer and writing, which we started the praying in it, Audrey. Yeah. So through prayer and through writing, I think that strengthened me, because the more, for those who don't know, I've just published my memoir, which is called Shameless, My Naked Truth. And yeah, through writing my book, it has given me the strength, because I wasn't only writing my story about HIV, but obviously my story, my journey. And for me, that was therapy.
Yeah.
So that was part of my therapy as well, because, through writing, I think sometimes when you're writing as well and the things are coming out and you read it after, you think, whoa, all of that's coming from me. So, yeah, so that was my stigma to strength, praying and writing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Chido, I'm gonna ask you the same question, but before I ask you that question, I just wanted to touch on the blood bottles, because it is a thing.
Yeah.
Right. And it is one of those things that it can impact you in a way that you don't really understand until afterwards. So let me give you an example. Like, when I was diagnosed with breast cancer, one of the things that hit me was the volume of letters. Like, every day there was a letter. It's just a letter. Drop, letters.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that wasn't blood bottles, but I do know somebody who I used to say to them, oh, how did you get on today? Oh, they just took so much blood. Whatever. So I'm just saying, it is something. It's a real thing.
Yeah.
You're not on your own, and it's not a silly thing. But because sometimes when you're having to live with a lifelong condition. Thank you. That's the word. When you live with a lifelong condition, them are the things you have to deal with. Whether it's taking tablets, having your bloods done every 3 months.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Having regular scans. Yeah. And it's it's the living. I'm not dying from it. I'm living from it. Oh God. Anyway, so I just wanted to say that. So then, I wanted to ask you the same question. How did you turn a stigma into a strength?
So I have to pick just one. All right.
However you want to.
I'll go with
whatever
one.
you want to do.
So the first stigma I touched on was the one about I'm dying because I have HIV. So the way I turned that around was, to put it simply, by living. Because I lived with that stigma for so many years. Yeah. At the back of my mind was the thought that I'm dying. And then when I started the medication, I think it just slowly started to come home to me that I'm not actually dying. I'm living.
Yes.
I'm growing older. I'm having children. I've had all my children are HIV negative. All 3 boys, they're all negative. They're all alive. They're all healthy. I'm living my life just as much as anybody who's HIV negative. Actually, I'm healthier than most people who are HIV negative.
Yeah.
But I'm so well looked after. So I've turned the stigma of dying from AIDS into living with HIV. I am living a full life. I am doing everything I want. I'm doing things I never dreamed I would do. I'm looking forward to growing a community with people like Jara.
Yeah, that's
support
it.
Other people who are living with HIV.
Yeah. And it feels exciting, innit?
It does. Yeah.
I think to myself, wow. for us to just be going out there and just, educating people and really pushing, it's like, yeah, that's where I'm at now. It's just exciting to do this. Because it's needed. It's needed,
You know, I've always wanted to change the world somehow. But I think, I think that's the way the universe and God is
We can
pushing
become
me
some
towards.
Power Rangers.
Yeah, we're gonna be the we need costumes.
Yeah. Yes, that's it.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you the same question, Jara, but I believe you've said a lot of things where we can see, stigmas have become strength. But I'm going to ask you the question so you don't feel left out. So think of a stigma that you're quite familiar with. I don't know, whatever. And because even like just talking about creating a community, that's turning a stigma into a strength. I don't want to put words in your mouth.
No. You're absolutely right. So we all know history. Always look at women, especially black women, that your place should be in the home.
Yeah.
Right? You should not be talking about sex.
Yeah.
I'm a Muslim woman, guys. Come on.
Yeah.
I'm a practicing Muslim woman.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, what are you doing? Even working in a sexual health environment, people will look at it and think, hang on a minute, what are you doing?
Yeah.
But you know what? That's my strength.
Yeah.
Because I believe that what I am doing, and I get to see patients who will see me that look like them, is giving them something. And when I talk to them, yes, I have to talk about evidence because all treatment you give is evidence-based. But also, I am in a very, very opportune place because I can talk about the culture because I understand the culture.
Yeah.
And I think this is how we can change those stigmas to strength. And that is not only for me as a clinician or as a community member. So I have a very big community here. We've got loads of Sri Lankan people. And I think some of them are actually listening. Somebody's just texted, so I'm with you guys. The community, we're always there to support each other. And I will talk about sexual health. I talk about FGM. Female genital mutilation. I talk about domestic abuse, domestic violence. I provide support for sexual assaults. And these are all, for me, these are stigmas when you put them together. But I've turned them into strength, not for only myself, but for the community and for people that I support and talk to. And this is all done in a confidential way because one of the biggest issues with stigma in our community is people think, oh, if I tell Yannick something, everybody will know. And that's why people never come forward to talk about it. But if you're there as a healthcare professional, but you take that hat off, but you're actually doing something for your community, it's not about money that you give to people. It's about that little bit of information that you provided. It goes a long way. And I think for me, that's my strength. And I think there's loads of healthcare professionals out there. If you can hear me, we need to come together and build our community in order for us to educate our communities. And I tell you what, people talk about activism. So when you go back and think about the revolution, talk about the Brixton riots, we talk about fighting for our rights as black people. But actually, activism is not about violence.
No.
It's about educating yourself so that you can push policymakers to change policies. Because we do know, as much as I can sit here and talk about NHS being a very good service, but quite a lot of discrimination within the NHS that black people do face. It's a fact. So for me as an activist, my role is to try and challenge policymakers so we can have inclusive policies. And that's what we should be doing. And by having these conversations and bringing the evidence, actually, it is really powerful. And if you cannot change the whole world, even if it's two people, you change their behavior. That's a massive change. That's an impact.
Yeah. That's true. Wow.
Do you know what I just wrote down?
What?
Fight for your health.
Yeah. Absolutely.
As you were talking, that's what came to me.
Absolutely.
Fight
For your health.
Yeah.
My God.
Yeah.
Because it's so many levels, to this. Because, growing up, we don't see health as something that's important.
No.
Take it for granted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sexual health, that's just like
That's the bottom of the
you have
list.
to go out there and find out about these things before it's even mentioned in the family. Yeah.
But no, you're right, Yannick. Come on, let's list them. There's financial health,
Financial health,
mental health,
mental health,
emotional health,
Yeah.
sexual
Sexual
health.
health.
What else is
and
there?
your
Physical.
physical
Physical
health.
Health, yeah.
So when you say fight for your health, it's not just it's
All those levels.
It's all the health.
Health is very holistic.
Yeah.
That's the
It is.
word.
It is holistic,
Yeah.
and I think as healthcare practitioners, we need to be very holistic. It's really, I was listening to a training. I tend to plug into different trainings just
Yeah.
to educate myself, and this doctor, this was somewhere in Ireland. They were talking about how to manage migrant communities with HIV. I was blown away. His understanding of how it is important for you to be able to speak the language. Even you as
Yeah.
a doctor or a nurse cannot speak the language, make sure they have access to interpreters. That alone is
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
Because people are living with their health conditions, regardless of what condition that is.
Yeah.
You are giving them information, and sometimes medical information, doesn't matter how you try to water it down,
doesn't
it can be
work.
very difficult.
Yeah.
So, but understanding their needs, knowing that, okay, migrant communities are different communities. They've got social issues, loads of them.
Oh gosh.
Asylum seekers, you've
Financial
got
issues.
financial issues. If you're an asylum seeker,
Yeah.
you're waiting for your papers. You don't go to hospitals because you're thinking, if I go, somebody's going to tell on me,
Yeah.
and I'm going to be sent home. So if you're then HIV positive, how do you reconcile that when you need to go for your medication?
Yeah.
But you can't even speak the language. That's another isolation.
Yeah.
So you're isolated because you're HIV positive.
Yeah.
You're in a country you can't speak the language. You're worried that if I go to the hospital, well, somebody's going to tell us, immigration's going to come and arrest
Yeah.
me. So how do you, as a healthcare practitioner, reconcile these? Because it's not only their medication you're looking after. If
No.
you don't look after the social aspects of our patients, their medical health, that's just secondary.
Yeah.
Because if I cannot feed my family,
Yeah.
I'm not going to come to clinic.
No.
I'm not going to pay a bus or transport to get to you for spend £5.
Yeah.
When that £5, I can buy mincemeat
Yeah.
and make pasta for my children.
Yeah.
So there is a lot of other things that we need to actually bring together and support our patients, both medically and socially as well.
Yeah.
And I think this is where the social workers come into play in the HIV clinics.
Yeah.
But you only have that in certain clinics.
Yeah.
So policies need to reflect this holistic nature of care.
It's true. I remember saying that to my therapist, poor Donna. I remember saying to my therapist one day, I think we were talking about depression at the time. And I said to her, you know what? I just think most therapists, if you've never experienced something like depression or have the experience in whatever it is, I don't think you'll ever understand what that person is going through. Because to me, everything just seemed black and white.
Yeah.
And, why is it you're going to ask me these questions that you ask everybody, and it's on a piece of paper? And, and she'd be like, Jan, don't get upset. But I'm going to ask you this question. I know it sounds a bit stupid, but it's just something that we have to do. And then in my head, no, not even in my head, I'm saying to her, this is what I'm talking about. It's like, it's just black and white, and you expect everybody to have the same answer, to react the same way, when what I'm going through is much, much different.
Yes.
Not, you think, because you're all black women. We're all black women, but we have different background. Yeah. Even if we come from the same country,
yes,
we still have different backgrounds.
Yes.
Still have different ways that we think and we do stuff. Even next door, the family next door lives totally different from the family, the other family. So, it's just this black and white thing that's going on. Everybody's opening up the book to talk, So I think, most of these services need people who have lived experiences. I can actually tell you my story and I can sympathize with you. And that's where you're saying, it's that language.
Yes, that's right.
It's able to understand that language.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Food?
Yeah.
Food is big part of what
Yeah,
we do.
yeah.
You know, we talk about this all the time. If you look at diabetes,
Yeah.
if you're diabetic, and you say to an African woman, "Oh, you can't eat rice."
Yeah, no.
What am I going to eat then?
What are you
Yeah.
gonna eat? So it's understanding your patient's culture.
Or chicken.
It's so important
Yeah.
because, and I'm a big believer that if you understand your patients very well and you're able to support them, give them that wraparound service,
Yeah.
you can provide everything as a provider, but you should be able to have services that you can signpost patients into,
Yeah.
which is so important. But I tell you something, peer mentors. I cannot emphasize the importance of patients as peer mentors,
Yeah.
because they are living with the conditions.
Yeah.
They are experts in their field
Yeah.
of condition. So we need to be using the peer mentors as much as possible. However,
yeah.
we need to also understand that they have bills to pay.
Yeah.
We cannot just use peer mentors to say, oh, actually, they are volunteers. It
Yeah.
doesn't work like that. Because you, as a peer mentor, you're coming out hand-holding another patient. You know, it helps that patient's journey. But actually, it helps me as a clinician
Yeah.
to be able to support that patient.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think there has to be policies here, and services need to include peer mentors within their workforce when they're doing their workforce reviews, because you guys should be part of the workforce,
Yeah.
not just as volunteers.
No, or having to say,
Yeah.
oh, you went to university to study this, or
That's right.
I don't
That's
think,
right.
yeah,
Because what
nah.
you guys provide for us, we can measure it.
No,
Yeah, we
Yeah.
can measure it.
And you can't
Yeah.
train for it.
No.
no, you can't. Yeah.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Gosh. So, I've just got so many thoughts. Because what I'm thinking, and maybe this, probably what peer mentoring means to me, is that we're changing it from the inside out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rather
Yeah.
than trying to do the external, bringing it
Yeah.
in, you're now changing it from the inside
Yeah.
out. So
Yeah.
that's number one. And number two, something that came into my head, and I just need you to answer your experience. These clinics, are they HIV clinics or are they sexual health clinics? Like, how did you feel about going to the clinic? Because what I'm trying to say is some people don't want to go.
That's right.
And if there's a big sign,
That's
Yes.
a sexual health.
then I got dip and hide and cover up.
Well,
and
I
everything.
didn't, because I remember when I
So
when I
what was
first
that line?
started,
What was that line?
that it was horrible, because you think, you know, in your head everybody know what you're going inside for, but then that's not the only thing they do at the clinic.
Yes.
But initially I was like, when I'm going, I remember I used to hide my medication because I think I don't want my neighbor to see or anything, because
Yeah.
like they're gonna see the NHS bag
Yeah.
and think HIV. You know, like, hello. But these things run through your mind, and that's what used to happen. You know, you feel scared. You're going in, you're looking around, you're making sure that the next person that walks through the door is not your neighbor.
Yeah.
You know, and these things. So yeah, it can be. It's frightening.
Yeah. What's your experience?
Yeah, well, see, for me, coming from Zimbabwe, the first time I went to Warsaw Clinic, it was totally different because, all right, on the text they say it's sexual health, and yeah, of course, I was afraid. I was like, oh my gosh, if I go there, everybody's gonna think
know,
either
yeah.
it's STIs or even worse, HIV. But really, in the end, it didn't matter.
No.
Yeah, because nobody knows why you're there.
No.
And
Yeah.
there were even signs that said, you may not be first because we provide different services. I think they put that specifically for HIV patients, just to let them know not everybody who's coming here is for HIV. So don't worry, nobody's going to know your business.
Yeah, because the clinics are mixed, aren't they? So
Yeah.
if you look at the Kiwi, where the services is different,
Yeah.
you've got endocrine, you've got ophthalmic. It's just a general outpatient service.
Yeah.
But let's take it back a notch.
Yeah.
Sexual health, for example, umbrella. Everybody knows the umbrella logo,
Yeah.
right? Again, your sexual health is part of your physical health.
Definitely.
Holistic.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So really, we should not even be hiding to go
Yeah.
into sexual health. You can go there for your contraception.
Yeah.
You can go. We do have skin clinics where we do provide biopsies, counseling. You know, there's lots of other services that you can go in there for. So it's not only sexual health. I always say to people, you know, how you're thinking, okay, I'm going to take this because of my blood pressure. I'm taking contraception because I don't want to be pregnant.
Yeah.
You should be thinking about your sexual health the same way. You should have regular testing. Because then you know you are okay. Because if you don't know that, how would you, you're just going around and you don't even know we know that there's loads of infections. You've got gonorrhea, you've got chlamydias, there's loads of other infections that we do have, which are sexual health related, but we don't know if we don't get tested.
Yeah.
So it should be part and parcel of what we do. And if you're changing partners, we always encourage you for every partner change, get tested. Get your partner tested as well.
And with that said, we're coming to the end of the show. So, testing. Where can people go to get tested?
So, if you're in Birmingham and Solihull, you can go to umbrellahealth.co.uk to order your test kits, or you can walk into any of the Umbrella clinics for testing. Yeah.
Okay. And you got any more questions, Audrey? Oh, yeah, I've got the final question. It's for everyone to answer. Da-da-da. So before we go, can't believe, you know what, the time always fly off when we're having good conversations. So I just want to know, because, I collect names of movies and books.
Oh, yes.
So what's the latest movie or book that you're reading or watching, or both? Go Cheeto, go.
All right, so the book I'm reading currently is a novel called Murmur of the Bees. So it's for a book club. I didn't choose it myself.
Oh.
Yeah, but it's actually a pretty good book. It's,
Murmur of the Bees.
Yes.
Okay, what's that about?
It's about a young boy. So it's set in Mexico.
Yeah.
So there's this young boy who's abandoned as a baby,
Oh,
as
okay.
a newborn, and he's got a cleft lip. So
Oh.
everybody looks down on him. But he was surrounded by a swarm of bees when he was found, and these bees follow him his whole life.
Oh.
He can't talk, and people assume that he's stupid.
Oh.
But he's not. He's really very intelligent.
Intelligent.
And he
Okay.
can-
Oh, sounds really
it's a great
interesting.
book, yeah.
And what are you watching at the moment?
I'm watching Christmas movies. I love Christmas.
Audrey, you're right off Audrey Street.
I love. I'll
love
I'll
them.
watch them all year if I can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you, Jara?
I am actually reading a book called Unwell Woman.
Oh,
Very, very good book.
what's that about? Is it
Medicine.
real story?
It is about history of medicine and how women actually fit in this society of medicine, in the medical field. It talks about the burden of its own troubled history over a century, where women's bodies have been diminished.
Yeah.
How they use us, like when a woman is angry, they said, because they're not seeing their period,
Yeah.
or because you have to bleed. And
Yeah.
this is so the book will talk about how women, when they start to get very period pains, they said, they need to get married.
Yeah.
Unless you get, they go and get married and start having sex, the period pain will not stop. It's honestly the negative connotation of how history viewed women.
Yeah.
The book is so powerful.
Wow.
Absolutely, really, really good book. And this is the second time I'm reading it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Oh,
a
wow.
really, really good book. Yeah. And it just tells you about how the UK viewed women.
Yeah.
So when we go back in time, and then you're thinking, we moan about how women are seen in Africa. But actually, history does tell us that even in the UK, this used to happen.
Yeah.
But with civilization and with education,
It's
things
gone
change.
better. Yeah. It's gotten better.
Yeah, it's a really good book.
Yeah. And are you watching any movie, or is there any movie that you want to suggest?
In terms of movies, I'm a bit geeky. I like to watch psychological thrillers.
Yeah.
Because my brain, I always have to learn something. So at the moment, I was going to watch, there is one about Denzel Washington. It's an old one.
Yeah.
And I've just added onto my Netflix for me
Is
to
it
watch.
Deja Vu?
No, it's not Deja Vu. It's, I can't remember the name. Something called Isaiah.
Oh.
Israel. Is it Israel or something where he's a lawyer?
I think I've watched it.
Yeah, it's a
I've
biopic,
watched
I
it.
think.
Yeah, I've watched it.
Yeah, so I've added
it's
it.
a really good film.
Yeah. And obviously, I'm binging on, is it Dynasty?
Dynasty. Oh, I'm binging on The Resident on Netflix.